Keeping it real. Neuralink. Approved. Human trials have started. All right, welcome back to Keeping It Real. This is Jay, and I've got Dan with me. Once again, I love to have Dan's input on any subject material at hand because normally there's going to be some great feedback from Danny on whatever we're talking about. And today we're going to talk about Elon Musk and something very interesting that I just discovered, Neuralink. Everybody's heard of Neuralink, I think. The brain interface design that he has made to stick wires and electrodes and computer chips and batteries into your brain that's about the size of a coin. Okay. Well, it has undergone FDA inspection with what he's done with animals to the point to where they have approved it for human trials. Scary as that may sound, it is the truth. And I think we need to delve a little further into Neuralink to understand what it's all about, because I don't think a lot of people understand the depths of what it's proposed to do and how did it get approved up to this point. We kind of discussed it a little bit before we started this, but in general, people have heard about it, but they really don't know about it. Like, I didn't really know about it until I did a little research about hearing the approval, and I found out so much more than I probably wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, here we go. Since it was founded in 2016, it's been around that long, Elon's company, Neuralink, has been building a next-generation brain implant with at least 100 times more brain connections than any device currently approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Yes, there are other devices that have successfully accomplished this, but it's for people with mental disorders, anxiety, depression, chronic, and of course, I would say more severe, people that have chronic epilepsy, they have seizures all the time. And there's some devices that have been approved that actually do work, but they're nowhere near this complicated where they insert wires deep into parts of your brain like Elon's going to do. The company has now reached a significant milestone, having received their FDA approval to begin these human trials. So this is one thing I thought was very interesting. I wanted to look on Elon's Twitter. I mean, I follow him on Twitter, and I looked at some of the stuff people have been saying. Like, I saw one paralyzed person on Twitter saying to Elon that he would offer himself up for the human trials. Like, there's people that are already willing to put themselves on the chopping block of Elon science to be experimented on.
Yes.
I mean, that's scary. Do you not think? Would you do it?
No.
Absolutely. I knew you'd say that, and I would not either. And I can understand the desperation if you are actually paralyzed, like the guy I saw offering himself up. But is your life so bad you'd be suicidal? Because I think that's a suicidal proposition, personally. Maybe everybody else will agree with me as I go further into this. I mean, I wouldn't let anybody experiment on my brain sticking wires in it. I'd rather go jump off a bridge or something.
Smoke lots of pot.
Well, that's not going to kill you.
Of course not.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to have a good time without Elon Musk running electrodes into your brain. Okay, Neuralink is making a Class 3 medical device known as a brain-computer interface. This is called a BCI. There are others. The device connects the brain to an external computer via a Bluetooth signal, enabling continuous communication back and forth. The device itself is coin-sized, and it's called a link. It's implanted within a small disc-shaped cutout in the skin using a precision surgical robot. So a human doesn't do this. There's a robot that does it.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if humans are not able to be as precise as this robot.
Probably not.
I guess it's a Terminator standing over you that does it.
Yeah.
Okay. The robot known as Implant R1. It has a name. performs the surgical procedure to implant the Neuralink, the BCI, brain chip interface. It splices 1,000 threads from the link to specific neurons in the brain. Each thread is about a quarter the diameter of a human hair. Do you know that?
Well, I
So
didn't.
this thing is running microscopic fibers. How does it even push them into the brain? If they're that thin, they've got to be extremely flexible. How does it? I mean, I don't know, man. That sounds beyond doable to me without damaging the brain.
I guess we'll find out.
Okay, what will it do? Right? That's what I wanted to look into. The company says the device could enable precise control of prosthetic limbs, giving amputees natural motor skills. Sounds wonderful. It could revolutionize treatment for conditions such as Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, spinal cord injuries. Also some promise for potential treatments of obesity, autism, depression, schizophrenia, and tinnitus. Sounds great, right? If it's true. This is all what they propose. There's no truth to this yet. It's what they're aiming for. Okay, possible issues. What do you think so far?
I think that you're about to get to the best part.
Okay, well, let's just think about this. The robot surgeon, the question is, can it safely implant and remove the Neuralink brain chip interface without damaging surrounding brain tissue or creating the risk of infection, bleeding, inflammation, or scarring, or unwanted side effects such as seizures, headaches, mood changes, or cognitive impairment? That's a
turn
big question.
Turn your brain into scrambled eggs.
I mean, that's basically it. Can it do it?
No, I don't think
There's not been any human trials yet. And some of the stuff I've looked into of what he did to animals is a little disturbing, which I'll say for the later point of this discussion.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so let's move on to the next point. Does it have a safe power supply? Overheating lithium-ion batteries can pose a great risk to the BCI user. When defective, such batteries have historically been known to overheat. I mean, lithium batteries do, right? I mean, we've heard lots of horror stories out there in the world. They can even, this is not my word, they can even explode if the insulation between the cathode and anode breaks down, resulting in a short circuit. So, point of view, think about cell phones. Think about anything you have that has a lithium battery in it that's ever had a problem. A vape unit. I've even seen electric cars catch on fire and blow up and shit from the battery having a malfunction. The longevity of the battery and the replacement from its position under the skin behind the ear also must be considered. Well, I don't think anything matters more than if it short circuits and it blows up in your head. What's that old movie, Scanners?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine if your lithium battery went bad on your BCI implant and it exploded in your head?
Or imagine this. What if there was a way to make that lithium battery explode if you piss the wrong person off?
That gets into the possibilities of, since I talked about it at the very beginning, it is directly connected to a computer via Bluetooth. That means there's an open signal from your head being shot to some computer so it could be picked up by somebody else. If it can be picked up by somebody else, it can be hacked. If it can be hacked, what can they do? And that's another thing I was interested to kind of dive into, so I'm glad you brought that up. It is something that has to be considered. I mean, you can't not think about that when you're talking about a computer interface linking up to your head wirelessly.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that's Bluetooth can be jacked. So you watch TV shows like Person of Interest. Then you find out like a few years later, they actually have that technology, how they're able to blue jack phones. That's crazy. And to think that this is going to be safe. Dude, they've been jacking Bluetooth for like over a decade. You can hack any computer if you're smart enough,
Well,
which we know.
yes. I mean, that's another thing, another point of discussion is even the most safest, most encrypted hardware on the face of the earth, like you would say the U.S. government, Department of Defense, stuff like this is NASA, the most difficult to hack into ever, but people have done it.
Yep.
So if a hacker is good enough and wants to, or somebody pays a hacker to do something dirty for them, why would you not be able to be hacked into? How can Elon Musk promise that nobody can tap into his device if it's a wireless device? I don't believe that.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Okay, another issue, wire migration. I think they said 1,000 wires are going to be run into your brain when you lay down for this operation. So wire migration is a risk of wires moving around. The possibility that the electrodes could move to other parts of the brain over time due to natural movements, inflammation, scar tissue formation, or other things. That would affect the proper function and could cause an infection or damage to your brain tissue. So you want to sign up for that? I mean, you got to have some long-term trials for this. So, I mean, this is another thing that, of course, now he's made it to FDA approvals on human trials, but nothing gets approved overnight after you get approved for human trials. That doesn't mean it's just going to be thrown on the market. But some people are going to have to literally sacrifice themselves long term because it's probably going to take 10 years for it to be cleared to go on the market.
Yeah.
We've never really pierced the brain. Like, say you get a fake knee or hip or something like that, you know, some kind of a metal piece put in you, your body wants to reject it. What's your brain going to do when it has a foreign object forced into it? How do we know it's going to take it? And for the long term, maybe for a short term, it deals with it, but long term, is it going to deal with it? Or is it like they, you know, some other people that I looked up were proposing scar tissue and other stuff developing?
Yeah.
I think it's very fathomable that running wires into your brain are long-term going to cause some serious issues.
Oh yeah. I'm not even going to debate that. That's absolutely going to happen.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I don't think it's up for debate either. I mean, I don't want to disparage anybody out there that maybe has some issues, whether it be mental issues or they have physical issues and they're paraplegic. I'm just sorry. I don't think this is a good idea. I think it's going to hurt people or kill people, one or the other, and cause worse problems than it's solving. Okay, we kind of discussed this, but next point of contention that I had to bring up was data privacy and security. Safeguards are required to prevent data collected by the link from being hacked. This is a FDA requirement. Okay. They don't want the information to be manipulated, misused, or collected. Neuralink has had to assure the FDA it could avoid scenarios of hackers rendering its link users vulnerable to interference, as well as guarantee privacy of brainwave data, which I say impossible, and you pretty much already said that too. I don't
especially. I mean, what are you going to do? Upload Norton into somebody's brain? I mean, what the fuck? I just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why? You know,
I don't see it either. I don't think it's possible. I think it's a pipe dream. I don't know where we're going from here, but I think people are like, seriously, you got to be living in another world if you think this is going to work.
I mean, hasn't technology grown well enough that we already have faster devices? We can. I mean, what is this accomplishing? Yes, I understand he said there's going to be good things about it, supposedly. I don't see that either, but there's no way that this is good for anybody who, say, does it possibly want like a device implanted. That's cool. You got depression problems, you got epilepsy. I could really understand the epilepsy thing.
Well, yeah, that's the most understandable function they're trying to conquer, I think, more than anything. Well, that, and I mean, being a paraplegic or something like that would suck too. If you could take back control of your body, or maybe robotic arms and legs, Yeah, that'd be great. But then you'd be half human. We're living in like a movie or something if we think that's going to work. I just don't see how you can have that without so many negative possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I'd do it is like if he could turn me into like a T-1000 or something.
I mean, that's what you're looking at. If you're going to take a paraplegic and equip them with robotic arms or legs or whatever it is they need that doesn't work anymore, their brain's going to be running it. Well, I mean, they're basically cyborgs. That's all it is. That's a fantasy. It's not legitimately something you can do without loads of issues.
Yeah. I mean, you would still be flesh and blood. That's a problem. So I'm definitely not cool with it. Like, you wouldn't turn me into like an actual robot and guarantee that I can't fucking be controlled. Yeah, that would be cool. I'd do that. I'd be like, that way I could like take over the fucking world.
Well, yeah, if you were actually capable of getting an exoskeleton and, I mean, literally, like, could you drop your brain into a freaking metal head like the, T-1000 and be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator? Then, I mean, you'd be in pretty good shape. Like, literally, we're going into sci-fi, fictional territory. This shit's not realistic. And some people think this stuff is legitimately true or can be done. I look at things like I mentioned to you earlier. There is an Indian guy who created this thing called the alter ego that goes over your head like these headphones here, and it comes down behind the ear, which is where exact same spot where Elon Musk's device is going to be inserted into your brain. Obviously, there's a good spot there where you could pick up on electrical impulses from the brain. It's not the only place because, I mean, it's got a head unit and then it comes down around the jaw behind the ear. Wish I could play a video of it, but it allows you to access the internet with your brain.
Yeah.
You can type on a keyboard. You can literally, this guy's alter ego, he can think thoughts and it communicates with a computer. I saw an interview. I know I shared this with you, but for the people out there, I watched an interview where he is being interviewed and they ask him questions like impossible numbers. There's no way mathematically he could answer. After they ask him that, then he thinks about the numbers in his brain, which sends it to a computer. It does the math for him, gives him back the numbers. Digit by digit, he spits it out, and the interviewer says that's correct. They ask him the capital of some city and country, a couple different places where he's never been before and doesn't know for sure. He has to pause and think about it, but it sends it to the computer. The computer sends him back the answer. All there is a lack of speed. It's not immediate because he doesn't have wires stuck into his brain.
I could do the same thing with a cell phone and a Google on somebody on the other end of a fucking computer with a Google waiting. You know,
this is how lazy we're getting though. Like literally,
oh, yeah, exactly.
People are getting so lazy, they don't even ever talk to people next to them anymore. They want to text the person sitting right next to them instead of talking to them, and they want their food brought from the grocery store to them because they don't want to go shopping anymore. I mean, everybody wants convenience for everything. And that's the direction. That's why they're serving up shit like this, because that's what people want is everything. Easy as it can be. So I see what we have right now is fine. I don't mind having a computer, having a cell phone, having all this to access my information. But people think, wow, how awesome would it be if I didn't have to have a computer or a cell phone? I could just think about what I wanted. And it's like the knowledge is in my brain, but I don't have to remember it. It's like you got Wikipedia on tap, or you got a calculator right there in your head that you can use or whatever. That sounds pretty cool, right? Yeah, that sounds cool. But what do you have to sacrifice to have it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what you got to consider in the long run is what do you have to sacrifice to have these technologies? Okay, let me go over some of the claims that Musk made. This is not reality yet. This is where he aims for the future. His vision, he claimed Neuralink could augment human intelligence, creating an on-demand connection with artificial intelligence systems. That's another scary thing. Do you want artificial intelligence in your brain?
No.
What the hell could artificial intelligence? I mean, if a human being could hack you and take you over, what could artificial intelligence do if it goes, hey, I've got the main control unit over this human being. I can't get the computer up and walk around and do stuff, but I could take over his brain and make him do stuff.
You just figured out what's going to happen in the future. Elon's going to create this. It's going to be implanted into Mark Zuckerberg's head, and he's going to steal all his information on AI and then bring it online.
Good call.
There's a conspiracy.
I could see this. Loads of Neuralink zombies taken over by AI interfaces. AI downloads itself into their brain and takes over a body because it doesn't have one. That way it can have one. It just goes ahead and starts taking over human beings. Yeah. Great call, Elon. So that's one of his big visions is being able to augment human intelligence by being able to interface with artificial intelligence systems.
Yeah.
So he thinks this will allow you to have improved cognition through enhanced memory, improved learning, problem-solving skills, etc. He's gone as far as saying the link could allow high-bandwidth telepathic communication between two or more people connected to a mediating computer. Still, there has to be a computer between those two people. Why don't they just talk? But he's saying you don't have to talk. You can just know their thoughts because they're connected to the same computer as you. Why do I want to do that?
Why would you want anybody to know your thoughts? You know what? I heard this on a podcast. It was on Rogan. No, it was Rogan that said this, and this is what kind of pissed me off about him. I mean, there's a few things I don't like about him. This is definitely one of them. And he was like, wouldn't it be simpler if just people knew what you were thinking?
No. I don't want anybody in my head.
You know how many wars would instantly fucking spouses killing each other? Just, hey, this asshole's supposed to be my friend, and I think he's a piece of shit because of something he did. Could you imagine knowing everything that everybody is thinking?
Is there not already too much violation of privacy that has been let loose in the last decade or two? I mean, since 9/11, since the Patriot Act, it's been incessantly creeping in and closing on all of us, this box. They're collecting data on you. They're listening to phone calls. They're collecting text messages. They're scooping up all your data off the internet, off of social media, and off of Google searches and everything. And yes, they are, folks. Yes, they do it. It's a fact. You can find out the information on it if you look around, but they do it. So with that in mind, why do I want to further contribute by allowing people to know exactly what I'm thinking from every single moment of the day till I guess then they could just know what I'm thinking, what I'm dreaming. It doesn't matter.
There was literally
once it's in your head, you're on tap all the time. You could literally have somebody monitoring every thought all the time and recording it.
It's a good way to police people too, if you think about it.
Could that be the bottom line here of what they're trying to do?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think that's what Elon or Zuckerberg or any of these people are trying to do.
I don't put it past Elon. I look at Zuckerberg as a shield for the government. He's just an employee of the government. People don't believe me. I think Elon Musk is a shield that's working for the government, which if you look at SpaceX, that's how NASA took their books from public to private. You can't know what they're doing anymore because they're using Elon to do it. So you don't think that maybe he's involved in whatever the government wants? He'll just, hey, I'll provide it. I'll do it. I'll be the front man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Basically, that's what Zuckerberg's doing with Facebook. LifeLog, like I had mentioned to you earlier, was a DARPA program for years where they were planning on collecting all civilians' data in a computer database and keeping records, files on everybody's personal life and what they're doing. And they decided just coincidentally to cut it off, and bam, Facebook starts right up and Mark Zuckerberg takes over doing Facebook. At the same time, the same day they shut it off, Facebook arrived. That's not a coincidence. I don't believe that. Nobody's going to convince me otherwise. Lifelong DARPA government program to collect all this information goes down, Facebook comes up. All they did was implement a shield. They put a guy in place and another company to look innocent, like a little college company to do this, and it blew up, and it was all planned out. That's what DARPA was planning all along.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So that's why I think so much of what Elon Musk is doing is actually government planned. So, I mean, there's so much of it that I look at that I go, hey, people may think it's wild conspiracy theory, but I found so much stuff the government lies about that they're capable of absolutely anything once you find out how many lies they've told. Once you stop believing everything you've been taught since you were born and realize that you are being duped.
Absolutely.
Well, anyways, so what Elon is proposing here is insanity, in my opinion. So, damage done at this point. Would you like to hear some of that?
Oh, absolutely.
Interestingly, approval has come less than 6 months after the United States Office of the Inspector General launched an investigation into Neuralink over potential animal welfare violations. But, okay, so essentially, the Inspector General investigated Neuralink because he was fucking animals up. And then all of a sudden, like I said, 6 months later, he gets approval to work on humans.
Mm-hmm.
I see perfectly through this. I could think to myself, and you might agree and you might not, and other people may say once again, oh, Jay's being a conspiracy theorist. I think everybody takes money when it comes to moving things along. And if you're supposedly the richest man in the world, which Elon is not, and that's another thing people believe, which is bullshit. There's trillionaires out there that people don't know about, like sheiks in Saudi Arabia, princes, different things like that, the Rothschilds. But anyways, billions that's plenty enough money to get somebody to look the other way and let you move on. I mean, look what happened with the jab that just miraculously got warp speeded into production without proper testing. Well, who do you think paid for that? The pharmaceutical companies.
Well,
money is the bottom line. It moves everything. So the company has actually killed about 1,500 animals, including more than 280 sheep, pigs, and monkeys following their experiments since 2018. This is directly from a Reuters report. Some employees have actually quit due to unethical behavior on how poorly the animals were treated during experiments, eventually leading to euthanasia. Put to death because of the torture they went through.
Yes.
For this nice little brain implant that's innocent and harmless.
Yes. Think about how many small children are going to be working in factories just to make your next iPhone.
Oh, that's another thing I don't think many people realize is slaves mass produce so many of the things that we use here in America. Not only just like it's slave labor, but like you said, lots of it is child slave labor.
Definitely.
People just don't want to know this stuff, man.
No, they just want their convenience. They don't want to know where it comes from.
Unfortunately. So we have a device coming in the next decade that will be able to do supposedly wonderful things. Or you could look at it from me and Danny's point of view. It's going to be highly invasive, possibly kill you, cause mental problems, be hacked, be taken over by AI or other human beings that want to make you do something that you don't want to. Why the hell would anybody be wanting to sign up for Neuralink?
Maybe they want something to blow up in their head. I don't know.
Well,
maybe that's suicide for them. I don't know.
I just don't get it, man. I mean, like I saw on his Twitter, I was just like, Why are people already volunteering to be the first one on the chopping block for this?
Yeah, it's fucking.
How bad is your life, or how stupid are you to believe what they say it's going to do before there's ever any trials or proof that it's actually working? And even if it does what it says it's going to do, then again, you must always consider the possibilities of what me and Dan are talking about. Somebody could hack it, or like Elon said, he wants to link it in with AI interfaces. How do we know in the future AI is not going to get smart enough to go, I'm linked to this dude's brain, I'm going to take him over. Then I got a body I can move.
Then you got a real life Skynet to deal with.
I mean, we should write a script on this because that could be a movie.
Yes. The misadventures of Elon Musk.
AI takeover, not from freaking Terminators. AI taking over the brains of human beings with implanted chips in their brain. How easy would that be? If AI figured it out, if AI got that smart.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Definitely something you would think of for a really good script for a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, it's like right now I just want to show a picture of the Terminator and like fire like coming at the screen.
Yeah.
Say I'll be back.
You won't be back. Your brains are gonna explode. You're being terminated.
Yeah, your brain will be gumbo. If you grew up in the time period when me and Dan did, they had these commercials all the time of your brain on drugs, and it was always somebody frying eggs in a pan. This is your brain on drugs. You know, just say no. That was Nancy Reagan's big thing. Just say no.
Yeah, the DARE program, all that stuff.
Yes. Just say no when they're flying it into Arkansas with Bill Clinton and provide that they're
Dude, you might, I mean, with this Neuralink thing, you might as well stick a needle in your fucking arm. I mean,
I think that would be far more valuable for changing your perspective on life than letting somebody take over your brain with a freaking computer chip.
Yeah.
I would much rather use drugs.
And I'm more worried about the government, like if they do successfully do this, pushing it on everybody. You know, like forcing them, like, oh, now it's mandatory. You have to have one of these to be a slave to the system.
Well, like look at Elon Musk's pullover in California. What is it, 5 years or so that you're not going to be allowed to drive a petrol vehicle anymore? You've got to have an electric vehicle in California. You don't think that's going to spread to other parts of the country? That's their test right there. They're going to do it on California first, where it's more socialist and crazy, and you know they're trying to be a dictatorship in California starting out, and we're luckily in a state like Texas, much like Florida, which is very independent. It's more like the republic governing itself and standing against the rules of the United States.
Thanks for joining us on Keeping It Real. Sorry we had some technical difficulties. Join us on the next episode, please. Subscribe and come back next time. Take care.